Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprahishu Vadreshu Nityam Bhakta Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 24. We are starting new chapter today. The subterranean heavenly planets. Subterranean means below planet Earth. And there are heavenly planets below Earth also. Now that is another thing to understand. Next one. Sri Shukdev Goswami said, my dear king, some historians, the speakers of the Puranas, say that 10,000 yojans below the sun is a planet known as Rahu, which moves like one of the stars. The presiding deity of that planet, who is the son of Simhika, is the most abominable of all asuras. But although he is completely unfit to assume the position of a demigod or a planetary deity, he has achieved that position by the grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Later I shall speak further about him. So this will be the story of churning of the ocean of milk. Text 2. The sun globe, which is a source of heat, extends for 10,000 yojans. So 80,000 miles, that's the diameter of sun. Moon extends for 20,000 yojans. So moon is bigger than sun, 160,000 miles. And Rahu extends for 30,000 yojans. Formerly, when nectar was being distributed, Rahu tried to create dissension between the sun and moon by interposing himself between them. Rahu is inimical towards both the sun and the moon, and therefore he always tries to cover the sunshine and moonshine on the dark moon day and full moon night. So solar eclipse happens always on dark moon day, and lunar eclipse happens on full moon night. As stated herein, the sun extends for 10,000 yojans and the moon extends for twice that, or 20,000 yojans. The word dwadash should be understood to mean twice as much as 10 or 20. In the opinion of Vijay Dhwaj, the extent of Rahu should be twice that of the moon, or 40,000 yojans. However, to reconcile this apparent contradiction to the text of Bhagavatam, Vijay Dhwaj cites the following quotation concerning Rahu. Rahu Soma Ravi Nam Tu Mandala Dvi Gunoptita. This means that Rahu is twice as large as the moon, which is twice as large as the sun. This is the conclusion of the commentator Vijay Dhwaj. Wow. It's just mind-boggling. And how big is Earth? Let's see if it's mentioned somewhere. Compared to sun and moon and Rahu. Text 3. After hearing from the sun and moon demigods about Rahu's attack, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, engages his disc, known as the Sudarshan Chakra, to protect them. The Sudarshan Chakra is the Lord's most beloved devotee and is favored by the Lord. The intense heat of its effulgence, meant for killing non-Vaishnavas, is unbearable to Rahu, and he therefore flees in fear of it. During the time Rahu disturbs the sun or moon, there occurs what people commonly know as an eclipse. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, is always a protector of his devotees, who are also known as demigods. The controlling demigods are most obedient to Lord Vishnu, although they also want material sense enjoyment. And that is why they are called demigods, or almost godly. Although Rahu attempts to attack both the sun and the moon, they are protected by Lord Vishnu. Being very afraid of Lord Vishnu's chakra, Rahu cannot stay in front of the sun or moon for more than a muhurta, 48 minutes. The phenomenon that occurs when Rahu blocks the light of the sun or moon is called an eclipse. The attempt of the scientists of this earth to go to moon is as demoniac as Rahu's attack. Of course, their attempts will be failures because no one can enter the moon or sun so lightly. Like the attack of Rahu, such attempts will certainly be failures. So another place, okay, Prabhupada here says Rahu blocks the light of sun or moon. And this eclipse lasts only 48 minutes. It cannot be more than a muhurta. But we see when we have the eclipse, then it lasts for a long time. But actually, the real eclipse only lasts for this. It's just a sutak that lasts longer than that. And another place it is also mentioned that Rahu tries to eat sun or moon, sun and the moon during solar or lunar eclipse. So he eats them because he is bigger. He is twice as big as moon. But since he does not have a body, because his head was cut off by the Sudarshan Chakra, so he eats the moon or sun, and then they come out of his throat, because there is nothing, no body there. So that is also possible. Text 4. Below Rahu by 10,000 yojans are the planets known as Siddhalok, Charanlok, and Vidyadharloka. It is said that the residents of Siddhaloka, being naturally endowed with the powers of yogis, can go from one planet to another by the natural mystic powers without using airplanes or similar machines. Text 5. Beneath Vidyadharloka, Charanloka, and Siddhaloka, in the sky called Antariksh, are the places of enjoyment for the yakshas, rakshasas, pishacha, ghosts, and so on. Antariksh extends as far as the wind blows and the clouds float in the sky. Above this, there is no more air. Text 6. Below the abodes of Yaksha and Rakshas, by the distance of 100 yojans, is a planet, Earth. Its upper limit extends as high as swans, hawks, eagles, and similar large birds can fly. So Yaksha and Rakshas, actually in their bodily constitution, in their intelligence, they are better than human beings, actually. The only problem with them is they're not devotees. That's the only problem. Otherwise, they have lots of strength, intelligence. They have the yogic powers. Plenty of those. Text 7. My dear king, beneath this earth are 7 other planets known as Atal, Vital, Sutal, Talatal, Mahatal, Rasatal, and Patal. I have already explained the situation of the planetary systems of Earth. The width and length of the 7 lower planetary systems are calculated to be exactly the same as those of Earth. Okay, text 8. In these 7 planetary systems, which are also known as subterranean heavens, Bil Swarga, there are very beautiful houses, gardens, and places of sense enjoyment, which are even more opulent than those in the higher planets, because the demons have a very high standard of sensual pleasure, wealth, and influence. Most of the residents of these planets, who are known as Daityas, Danavas, and Nagas, live as householders. Their wives, children, friends, and society are all fully engaged in illusory material happiness. The sense enjoyment of the demigods is sometimes disturbed, but the residents of these planets enjoy life without disturbances. Thus, they are understood to be very attached to illusory happiness. So those who really want to enjoy like them, they go down. Urdhvam gachanti sattvastu, madhya tishtanti rajasa, jaganna guna vratistha, Adhogachanti tamsa, adhogachanti tamsa. Those in the mode of ignorance, they go down. So this is where they go. Until they go into lower species. According to the statements of Prahlad Maharaj, material enjoyment is Maya Sukha, illusory enjoyment. A Vaishnava is full of anxieties for the deliverance of all living entities from such false enjoyment. Prahlad Maharaj says, Maya Sukhaya Brahm Udvahato Vimhuda. These fools are engaged in material happiness, which is surely temporary. Whether in the heavenly planets, the lower planets, or the earthly planets, people are engrossed in temporary material happiness, forgetting that in due course of time, they have to change their bodies according to the material laws and suffer the repetition of birth, death, old age, and disease. Not caring what will happen in the next birth, gross materialists are simply busy, enjoying during the present short span of life. A Vaishnava is always anxious to give all such bewildered materialists the real happiness of spiritual bliss. So, other than the devotees, everybody is just trying to be happy, and especially the residents of lower planets. They are just so much engaged in illusory material happiness. Text 9. My dear king, in the imitation heavens, known as Bilasvarga, there is a great demon named Mayadanav, who is an expert artist and architect. He has constructed many brilliantly decorated cities. There are many wonderful houses, wells, gates, assembly houses, temples, yards, and temple compounds, as well as many hotels serving as residential quarters for foreigners. The houses for the leaders of these planets are constructed with the most valuable jewels, and they're always crowded with living entities known as nags and asuras, as well as many pigeons, parrots, and similar birds. All in all, these imitation heavenly cities are most beautifully situated and attractively decorated. So we always heard of that below earth, it's all places of misery. Well, it's miserable, but the way it is built is not. Doesn't look like it. Just looks like any city on earth. But there are some differences. Let's see. The parks and gardens in the artificial heavens surpass in beauty those of the upper heavenly planets. The trees in those gardens, embraced by creepers, bend with a heavy burden of twigs with fruits and flowers, and therefore they appear extraordinarily beautiful. That beauty could attract anyone and make his mind fully blossom in the pleasure of sense gratification. There are many lakes and reservoirs with clear, transparent water, agitated by jumping fish and decorated with many flowers such as lilies, Kovalyas, Kalas, and blue and red lotuses. Pairs of chakravaks and many other water birds nest in the lakes and always enjoy in a happy mood, making sweet, pleasing vibrations that are very satisfying and conducive to enjoyment of the senses. So Shukdev Goswami is doing his best to describe all these subterranean heavenly planets. Okay, now the problem is, since there is no sunshine in those subterranean planets, time is not divided into days and nights, and consequently, fear produced by time does not exist. So there is no sunshine down there. So sunshine only reaches up to Earth's planet, not below Earth. So there is no day or night, it's always night. But still, so much of opulence is there. Many great serpents reside there with gems on their hoods, and the effulgence of these gems dissipates the darkness in all directions. Krishna's arrangement is amazing. But people do need light. So how the light comes in because they are the gems on the hoods of the serpents. So just imagine how many snakes must be there, and their hoods with the gems, and some of the effulgence of these gems dissipate the darkness. Since the residents of these planets drink and bathe in juices and elixirs made from wonderful herbs, they are freed from all anxieties and physical diseases. They have no experience of gray hair. Thank you. Wrinkles or invalidity. Their barley lusters do not fade. Their perspiration does not cause a bad smell, and they are not troubled by fatigue or by lack of energy or enthusiasm due to old age. So sounds like a wonderful place to go. But actually it's not. No sunlight. Maybe they all have pet snakes with the gems on their hoods. So those snakes keep everything lit up. Text 14. They live very auspiciously and do not fear death from anything but death's established time, which is a effulgence of the Sudarshan Chakra, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is the defect of material existence. Everything in the subterranean heavens is very nicely arranged. There are well-situated residential quarters. There is a pleasing atmosphere, and there are no bodily inconveniences or mental anxieties. But so bodily inconvenience means no coronavirus, no old age. Nobody is getting gray hair, no wrinkles on the skin. But nevertheless, those who live there have to take another birth according to karma. Persons whose minds are dull cannot understand this defect of a materialistic civilization, aiming at material comforts. One may make his living conditions very pleasing for the senses, but despite all favorable conditions, one must in due course of time meet death. The members of a demoniac civilization endeavor to make their living conditions very comfortable, but they cannot check death. The influence of the Sudarshan Chakra will not allow their so-called material happiness to endure. So even though they have made everything comfortable and they're living there nicely and always young, but still they have to die. Text 15. When the Sudarshan Chakra enters those provinces, the pregnant wives of the demons all have miscarriages due to fear of its effulgence. My dear king, now I shall describe to you the lower planetary systems one by one, beginning from Atal. In Atal, there is a demon, the son of Mayadanav, named Bal, who created 96 kinds of mystic power. Some so-called yogis and swamis take advantage of this mystic power to cheat people even today on earth. Simply by yawning, the demon Bala created 3 kinds of women, known as Swarini, Kamini, and Punchali. The Swarinis like to marry men from their own group. The Kaminis marry men from any group, and the Punchalis change husbands one after another. If a man enters the planet of Atal, these women immediately capture him and induce him to drink an intoxicating beverage made with a drug known as Hatak. Hatak comes from cannabis, means ganja, kind of. This intoxicant endows the man with great sexual prowess, of which the women take advantage for enjoyment. A woman will enchant him with attractive glances, intimate words, smiles of love, and then embraces. In this way, she induces him to enjoy sex with her to her full satisfaction. Because of his increased sexual power, the man thinks himself stronger than 10,000 elephants and considers himself most perfect. Indeed, illusioned and intoxicated by false pride, he thinks himself God, ignoring impending death. So if somehow a man enters the planet of Atal, so these women, so three kinds of women, Swarini, Kamini, and Kunshali. Text 17. The next planet below Atal is Vital, wherein Lord Shiva, who is known as a master of gold mines, lives with his personal associates, the ghosts and similar living entities. See, it's all Krishna's arrangement. Today is Shivratri and Lord Shiva's name, and the shloka on him came. Lord Shiva, as a progenitor, engages in sex with Bhavani, the progenitress, to produce living entities, and from the mixture of their vital fluids, the river named Hataki is generated. When fire, being made to blaze by the wind, drinks of this river and then sizzles and spits it out, it produces gold called Hatak. The demons who live on that planet with their wives decorate themselves with various ornaments made from that gold, and thus they live very happily. It appears that when Bhav and Bhavani, Lord Shiva and his wife, unite sexually, the emulsification of their secretions creates a chemical which, when heated by fire, can produce gold. It is said that the alchemists of the medieval age tried to prepare gold from base metal. And Srila Sanatana Goswami also states that when bell metal is treated with mercury, it can produce gold. Srila Sanatana Goswami mentions this in regard to the initiation of low-class men to turn them into Brahmins. So Sanatana Goswami said, as one can transform Kansa or bell metal into gold by treating it with mercury, but can also turn a low-born man into a Brahman by initiating him properly into Vaishnava activities. The International Society for Krishna Consciousness is trying to turn Malechas and Yavans into real Brahmins by properly initiating them and stopping them from engaging in meat eating, intoxication, illicit sex, and gambling. One who stops these four principles of sinful activity and chants the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra can certainly become a pure Brahman through the process of bona fide initiation, as suggested by Srila Sanatana Goswami. Apart from this, if one takes a hint from this verse and learns how to mix mercury with bell metal by properly heating and melting them, one can get gold very cheaply. The alchemists of the medieval age tried to manufacture gold, but they were unsuccessful, perhaps because they did not follow the right instructions. So here it is said Vital is where Lord Shiva lives with his personal associates, because he has to give association to these ghosts and other living entities. It's also said he lives on Kailash mountain. So maybe sometimes he's there, sometimes there, or he's at both the places at the same time. He can be. It's not a big deal for him. So Lord Shiva, today being Mahashivratri, and everybody is celebrating, fasting, and doing so many other things for the pleasure of Lord Shiva. And as we have discussed many times about the characteristics of Lord Shiva, he's a pure Vaishnava, Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhu. This shloka will come in 11th canto of Bhagavatam. So he has very peculiar services, very difficult services to do. In fact, he is the only one who does so many services, and that too range variety. He gives, like here it says, he gives association to ghosts and hoblins, goblins, all those entities which nobody wants to associate with. Which Vaishnava would go and give association to these kind of creatures? He lives in crematoriums. He puts ashes of crematoriums and dead bodies on his bodies. He's having snakes around his body. And on top of it, he's also Param Vaishnava. And on another aspect of it, he has given the biggest Mayavadi philosophy as Shankaracharya. He's Vaishnava. He's a Mayavadi philosopher. At the same time, he gives association to this ghost and all these creatures, which are very scary. And we have read in the arena of Daksha, how Daksha committed offense, disrespected Shiva, and because of Daksha, his own daughter Sati committed suicide, and all the associates of Lord Shiva, they just ruined the whole sacrifice. And nobody could stop them. Not Daksha, not any other demigod. Nobody. So powerful. And even if that is not enough, he is also the giver of benedictions to all the people who want material wealth. This is why they pray to him. And it's said it is so easy to please him. Just take a bale leaf, the combination of 3 bale pata, and just wash it, obviously, and put it upside down on Shivlinga and pray to Lord Shiva. And he's just pleased with that. That's it. People can do more. Bathe him with Shivlingam with milk and water and whatever else they can do. Why not? Just do it. But he's just pleased with Bill lives. That's it. So materialists, all the karmis pray to Lord Shiva. Women pray to him, the young girls pray to him to get best husband. They all want husband like Lord Shiva. They don't want to live like Lord Shiva does. Lord Shiva doesn't even have a home for himself. He lives under this banyan tree. And Bhavani, who's his wife, Durga or Bhavani, Parvati, Sati, same person, different names. She bestows all benedictions to all the materialists, all the karmis. But she is a chaste wife of Lord Shiva. She lives with him, not in a house. And we'll come across all the beautiful, there's so many beautiful stories about Lord Shiva with Maharaj Chitraketu that will come in further cantos. And since he is a Param Vaishnava, every devotee of Krishna or Ram, they have beautiful, wonderful relationship with Lord Shiva. Of course, they worship him, they treat him as Param Vaishnava, as like one who can, and as a Param Vaishnava, he can give bhakti also. But for those who want bhakti, he can give bhakti easily. Because Krishna himself doesn't give bhakti. Bhakti can only be had by the mercy of devotees. So he can give bhakti also. So his position is amazing position. Amazing position. Every dham or every tirath that we go to related to Vishnu is a protector of that place. If we go to Mathura, then it is Bhuteshwar Mahadev. If we go to Vrindavan, then Gopeshwar Mahadev. If you go to Govardhan, Chakleshwar Mahadev, everywhere Mahadev is there to protect that dham. You go to Jagannath Puri, then before you going to Jagannath Puri, Lingaraj, we have to take darshan of Lingaraj. Then you go to Jagannath Puri. Even in Jagannath Puri, there is a Shiva temple. I'm forgetting the name of that, and that is considered the Kshetrapal. So everywhere we go, he's there. Especially for Vaishnavas, he's there. First to protect the dham, and then obviously to screen out non-devotees. But then on top of it is Ashutosh. He just gets pleased so quickly by little devotion, little service by devotees or by anybody. He just allows them. And many times it so happens that because his devotees or his worshippers, not devotees, his worshippers are always asuras who want some material benedictions fast. And those asuras or demonic people with demonic mentality, not like Rakshas, asuras, sometimes they want something that really belongs to Krishna or Vishnu. And then that creates a problem between Shiva and Vishnu, or Krishna and Lord Shiva. But ultimately, it always ends in either killing of that asura or in defeat of that asura and defeat of Lord Shiva. And Krishna or Vishnu, whenever that happens, Lord Shiva is happy. He got defeated by Lord Vishnu or Krishna. And then he just tells the Lord, because you induced me to do all these things, that's why I did. It's not my fault. There's a special relationship of Krishna and Lord Shiva. Very, very special. It's not that Krishna is angry at Lord Shiva. He's his devotee. But to teach lesson to the asuras and to teach lesson to the people in general, Krishna has special pastimes with Lord Shiva. In fact, I know we are running out. Just a little incident. We all have heard of this bow that Lord Ram broke, and after breaking it, he won Mother Sita's hand and he married Sita. But there is a story behind it, that bow. And the story was that I'm not remembering the whole story, the beginning of it exactly, because I wasn't preparing to give lecture on Lord Shiva today. So it so happens that Lord Shiva was on Kailash, and the Indra and other demigods happened to go there. And somehow there was a debate that who's stronger, Shiva or Vishnu? Then Shivji was there, and Shivji said, obviously Vishnuji is stronger. And the demigods, no, you're just being humble, you're very strong, you're so strong, so powerful, we have seen your strength. And Lord Shiva was like, what is happening? Something, these guys are up to something. And then Narad Muni came, and Narad Muni started glorifying Shiva, and Shiva was like, Narad Muni, you are here, you're glorifying, some mischief is going to happen. No, what? We just want to see your strength, that's all. So why don't we, they said, why don't we arrange for a duel between you and Vishnu? Shiva said, no way, he is going to defeat me. But no, all the demigods, Indra, Narad Muni, they said, no. What we will do, we'll create two bows of equal strength. It's not like you're going to carry your bow and Vishnu is going to carry his sharng, and no Sudarshan Chakra involved, just these bows. That's it. And then let's see who's stronger. So Vishwakarmaji came, he created two bows. So Shiva got his bow and Lord Vishnu had his bow. And they started fighting. And all the demigods were watching. And obviously, it so happened after a while, Lord Shiva lost and he just ran away from that arena. And Lord Vishnu won. So that bow of Lord Shiva came to somehow it slowly, it was passed on, and it came to the house of Janak Maharaj. And that bow was so heavy. Lord Shiva was playing with it, shooting arrows, but the soldiers of Janak Maharaj, 300 soldiers, together they had to lift that bow. It was so heavy. And they had to lift, or even if they had to move, 300 soldiers had to get together. And when Sita ji, well, we know Sita ji was not born in the house of Janak Maharaj. She was found in that basket under the earth when Janak Maharaj was plowing the field, and she was discovered. And Sita ji, when she was little girl, 6, 7, 8 years old, she was just playing in that room where the bow was kept, and with one hand, left hand of her, she just lifted that bow. That was a big shock for everybody. How can she lift that bow? And there are 300 well-trained, all strong soldiers. It takes them whole day to move that bow, and she just lifted it easily. So seeing that special quality of Sita ji, Janak Maharaj made that arrangement that whoever lifts that bow, whoever strings that bow, will marry my daughter. Now the other bow, which Lord Vishnu had. So that bow was given further. It came down to Parshuramji. So when Lord Ram came and he broke that Shiva bow, he picked it up. First of all, none of the other kings could even pick it up. It was so heavy. And Janak Maharaj was surprised. Sita, when she was little, she could pick up the bow, and all these big, strong kings, they cannot even lift it. And then when Ram came, he knew it is Lord Shiva's bow, and he picked it up, and then he started stringing it. And when he was stringing it, he was stringing so strongly that the bow started to bend. And it is said it bent to almost like semicircle, half a circle. To that extent, Lord Ram strung it and kept on stringing it, and then all of a sudden it just broke into pieces. And the noise, of course, it Lord Shiva's bow, the noise was so great, so terrible noise, that everybody just fell down unconscious, except Ram, Lakshman, and Sita ji. And when Parshuram brought that bow of Lord Vishnu, gave it to Ram to string it, and then put an arrow on it and shoot that arrow. So afterwards, Ram kept that bow with him because it belonged to him. And Parshuram, the whole pastime was enacted so that Parshuramji could deliver that bow of Vishnu to Ram. But anyway, there are so many thousands and thousands of wonderful pastimes between Krishna and Shiva and Lord Ram and Lord Shiva. So many pastimes. So anyway, so today is a very auspicious day of Shivratri. So whatever, many times devotees also fast, although it's not mentioned in the calendar, but devotees can fast to honor Lord Shiva and read more about Lord Shiva. Okay, so we can stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Mata.
Prabhuji, I was just thinking today how to start with, Shivratri fast and all. What should I do to start with puja on? And it's a good thing that I heard you have told us the pastimes of Shivji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
It just so happened those words came. I didn't plan to. I guess Lord Shiva wanted it this way.
What should I do? Today there's Mahashivratri. Then it's a good thing, good way to start a day.
Yeah.
Thank you. Unexpected.
Okay, so I guess we can stop here. You all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Ram.
Hare Krishna, Jai Srila Prabhupada.